So we are going to be looking at a scenario where civilization starts over. We are on episode 43, and in the last episode, it was the Great World War II, which saw a lot of countries fall, some countries unite, and some just completely collapse. A lot of new countries popped up too, a lot in Africa with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new countries popping up. In this episode, expect, Wales to decolonize their colonies because they have since left the Star Alliance. I need to update the alliance map. The new leader is very against colonialism and wants to have it end throughout the whole world. Anyways, if you guys love these videos, make sure to like and subscribe. We're almost at 50 episodes in this. That is awesome. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into episode 43. So, the number one economy just fell apart. And with this number one economy falling apart, being Indonesia, all of these Indonesian Isles countries are going to switch their currency, and this is going to lead to the Great Depression. The Great Depression happening in World War II instead of in World War I. This Great Depression isn't going to be that bad. It's just going to make a couple countries collapse into a couple pieces. Most notably being this blue kind of one right here, who is the kind of successor to the Tibetan Empire. We see these areas over here break away and form their own country. All these areas want to be their own separatist country, and once this happens, they realize, well, a lot of countries realize, and they know that this whole country right here does not have the most stable economy. The reason for that is they, for some reason, kept the old Tibetan Empire money. They kept that, and their economy was never super strong. But we now see China invading into this country. China has a great economy, and I need to update the numbers because it has changed. I will do that right after this war, but now we just see China entering into a lot of these provinces, and this whole state just collapse. It just collapsed. And with this, we have China taking initiative and saying that we are going to divvy up this land evenly among everyone. So let's look at that divvying up. So this is what the divvying up looks like. We have the red team inside of Central Asia getting these lands, and the reason they get these lands is because China and this red team right here are actually on really good relations right now. Next comes this purple team right here who takes this land right there. The brown team who gets the least amount of land, but they're kind of happy with that because they didn't really even want any land. Or at least they didn't think they would get any, but this new rebellion is going to get this land right there. And the rest of this is going to go over to China, and they give themselves the capital, of course. The capital of this new country is going to be right there. And there was the first country falling to the hands of the Great Depression. Anyways, let's go ahead and look at the new top 10 rankings because it is long overdue. That I've done that, I just keep forgetting. Okay, so now that we have a completely blank map besides this right here, which is now been fixed, we need to make a new top 10 list, and, well, this might be a little bit difficult to make. After the war, the strongest country in the world collapsed. And also, the Italians collapsed, which I think was the 4th or 2nd strongest country in the world. So this is going to be a pretty tough ranking to make, but I feel like I know who the 10th strongest country is. Number 10 is going to go over to Russia. The reason for this is, well, they have just gained a lot of their old Polish lands back. Those lands were very valuable. Who knows how long they're actually going to stay in their country because Poland really wants independence right now. Like, this whole area right here is very, very, very not good to live in at the moment. Anyways, going over to number 9, I'm going to give it to the newly formed Persian Union. Now, you might be wondering, why am I giving it to the Persian Union, even though they just formed a little bit ago? The Persian Union is very strong. They got a lot of the very valuable land from the Central Asian Union, which I think the Central Asian Union was like the 5th strongest country in the world. It got the capital of the Central Asian Union and a lot of the southern coast. So I am going to say that they are the ninth strongest country in the world. You can maybe switch them around with Russia. But number 8 is going to be going over to the Lime team. The Lime team has, well, pretty much taken over all of France, and they are pretty much the France of this timeline. Number 7 is going to go over to the Blue Iberians. They have probably one of the biggest, not the biggest, but one of the biggest colonial empires in the world. And these guys, they have reformed their empire greatly, and it is probably necessary, well, not necessary, but rightfully that they are number 7. Number 6 is going to go over to Yugoslavia. This might be surprising, but Yugoslavia, like, they got hands. They have one of the biggest, if not, I would say the third biggest claim inside of Africa for their colony. They're just very strong like that. The 5th strongest country in the world, I'm going to have to, I don't even know who this is going to go to. I have decided the 5th strongest country in the world is going to be Wales right here. Why has Wales in number 5 now? Well, the new leader has greatly bumped up their military recently, and, well, they have just left the Star Alliance, which was a alliance meant for colonialism, and this new leader is very against colonialism. The 4th strongest country in the world is going to surprise some of you, but it is actually Taiwan. I don't talk about Taiwan enough, but they are a very, very strong empire. They have one of the best navies in the world, and they can rival China at times. Taiwan is a country you do not want to mess around with, definitely. Now, I'm in a little bit of a pickle here because, really, there's no one else stronger, I'm going to be honest, the brown team is the strongest country in the world. The 2nd strongest country in the world is China. But there really is no one that is weaker than these two, but is also stronger than Taiwan. So what I'm going to be doing is so everyone that you see here is going to be getting bumped up. And the new 10th strongest country in the world is going to be, it is between Cyprus and this Israel, whatever it is. And I think I'm going to give it to Israel because, well, they have just claimed so much land. They have Egypt up over here inside of Iraq. They are a very, very strong country. So there are our top 10 rankings in the world. Look at them while you can, with Israel at the 10th, the brown team at 1st, Yugoslavia 5th, China 2nd, Taiwan 3rd, Persian Union 8th, Russia 9th, Wales 4th, Lime French team 6th, and the Blue Iberians 7th. Now I need to fix the alliances around the world, and, well, you'll see in a second. First off, Turkey or Anatolia does not stay inside of the Star Alliance. All these 3 do. The 6 Star Alliance is disbanded, and I think Sweden, Ukraine, I think it was only Sweden and Ukraine who are the only 2 6 Star Alliance members that made it out of that war. The Circle Alliance is going to fall through. This alliance does not exist anymore. And now there's only one alliance in the world. Well, now I need to re-add some of the members that were in this alliance. That should be in there. This country is the Italian... This country is the northern Italian country who, well, although they did lose their colonial empire, that does not mean that they're out of this alliance. And I also just realized I never gave a capital to this purple team right here. Their capital is going to be in the old pink one, and yeah, there. Now that that has been done, we need to talk about this new alliance that is going to be popping up in the world. This new alliance is aimed at stopping colonialism. Now, we've heard that before, and it did not work out last time. So who is really going to make this? Like, who would be dumb enough to make this? Well, there are 3 owners of this alliance. The first one being Cyprus, who wants to stop colonialism and make their empire. The second one is Wales, who wants to stop colonialism in all. And the final one is the Lime team. Those are the 3 main members of this alliance. And who is going to join this? Like, who would join this? Well, first off, this Sudanese pink country joins in on it very quickly. This purple country right here that the Lime team just released also joins it very quickly. And we actually see a couple more of these. Well, we see this like kind of Egyptian country and this country over here join in on it, and those are everyone who does join in on it at the moment. This alliance really is focused on Africa and setting free everyone in the world because these people do not agree with colonialism. Now, you might be saying, why is Wales inside of a non-colonialism alliance if, like, they have colonies all around the world, and I think, like, the third biggest colonizer in the world? Well, don't worry, because these guys are releasing their colonies right now. The first one that they're going to be releasing is this Yemen one over here inside of Arabia, which their color is going to be this, and they will be let go off of the colonialism board. I have done all the provinces pretty much inside the Middle East. I haven't done the Persian Union yet, but I am getting there very slowly. The capital of Yemen is going to be right there, if I can get the right color. There it is, capital Yemen. And the first of many countries have been released off the grasps of colonialism. The next ones they're going to release are the ones over here inside of Central America, which they grant these lands over to this kind of Colombian nation that just got released off of the red team. They're actually going to give this kind of like Aztec nation right here, they're going to give them these lands right here just for like a good job. I don't know. They just give it to them. Which this Aztec nation is now very sophisticated. It is caught up with the rest of the world. The rest of this is going to be turned into its own country. We also have the Wales giving Jamaica and some of these Bahama Islands over to this nation over here, the Aztecs. We now have the island of Dominica being spat out into its own country. Then we have Puerto Rico also being spat out into its own country. The capital of this like Nicaragua type country is going to be right up there. The capital in Dominica is going to be right over here. And in Puerto Rico, it's just going to be right there. More of the world is getting decolonized as we now head up to the rest of North America with this huge Hudson Lake area. Thanks for pointing that out to me in the comments, guys. Area being decolonized. The first country being popped out is kind of like this Quebec country up here. This country also is going to get this island right there. We then have the island of Newfoundland, I think it's what it's called, being spat out into its own country. We now have these areas being spat out into its own country. This is going to be the strongest country out of all of the new American ones to pop up. Of course, besides this like Colombian one, this one is the strongest out of them all. We now have these areas being turned into this kind of light lime country. We then have the rest of these areas being turned into its own little like Canadian country. That is going to look like that. I have added more major cities all around North America. Haven't added any in South America yet because they haven't been down there yet, but this is pretty much where all of the major cities will be for the rest of the series. The capital of this blue one is going to be right over here. The Newfoundland is going to be right there. For this Quebecan country is going to be right there. For this Lime nation it's going to be there. And then for this Canadian nation it's going to be the one closest, well, the warmest city. And slowly but surely more countries inside of North America are starting to pop up, but now we have to go over to the African colonies because, well, this is going to be the big one. The first country being spat out is going to be this kind of like dark pinkish one, and that is the first of many nations being popped out of this area. We now have this like light bluish nation being popped up right there with a very long straight border. We now have this area being popped out, and the straight line curse is very real. We now have a small red country. We have this golden nation being popped up right there. We now have the biggest country yet inside of Africa. Actually, no. This thing right here, besides the colonizers, I'd definitely say the Sudanese is the biggest, and I'd even say this, like, terrorist group is bigger than this one. But out of the Wales colony, it is the biggest. And for the last two countries, we have this one being born inside of the eastern part, and this one being born inside of the western part. All of Wales' colonies have officially been released, and now you can officially say, besides this one. This Japanese Isles area is going to get turned into its own country, and there we go. Now, every single Wales colony has been overthrown. But that is not the last thing, as there is one more event in this video that is going to be taking place. And that is with the Brown team, as since they just got all of this land, it is very, very, very unstable. So unstable, in fact, they're actually going to have to let go 4 little parts of these colonies. We have the Brown team choosing to release this nation right here. It is pretty dang small, and it's inside of this new area that they just got from the Italian team. We have South Africa being popped out. We have kind of this, like, area over here being popped out. This was a part of the Indonesian colonies, and now it is its own country. And we have this kind of long African country down in South Africa, and those are the 4 countries that got popped out. But that is not it, as provinces inside of this African area who want to join up with the terrorist organization, the Brown team is going to have to oblige and give these areas up. We have 3, well, multiple provinces, but 3 main areas breaking away. Not breaking away, but we have this area down here going over to this, like, rebellious area. Then we have these 2 areas going over to the terrorist group, and the terrorist group has just grown and is probably the biggest real country inside of Africa. But unfortunately, now that all this stuff has happened, Madagascar is going to have to get released under its own name, which will be like this, and then just these 2 islands will go over them as well. I will give all of these guys, all the African guys, capitals off camera. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure to like and subscribe. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.